Good evening, YouTube. This is Charlie Roberts with Roberts Pest Control, and I made a commitment that I was going to make a lot more videos. I got an opportunity this evening to make one for everybody here that we can share to Facebook and all that good stuff. So, without further ado, I'm going to do a product review on a new piece of equipment that we have picked up. And ignore my kids, they're in the background. This is the Pesttool. And what the Pesttool is an electronic dust delivery system, kind of sort of shaped like a drill, which is kind of cool. We have had electronic dusters in the industry for a minute in the form of the Exacticide duster, which is the one I'm most familiar with. And ever since I've seen this thing, I kind of have been intrigued. On one hand, the pictures I saw really made it look cheaper than what it really actually is. Even though this is a less expensive duster than, say, the Exacticide. You've got a built-in light. It comes with 2 batteries. You've got them built into this case. You've got a couple of bottles, which I have defense dust in this bottle, and then I have alpine dust in this bottle. So I have a pyrethroid and a neonic in these, so both repellent and non-repellent formulations. I could go as far as to use a dry flowable bait in a jar, which I'm going to get a couple of jars, or I might even 3D print some jars. The jars really can't be that expensive. I haven't really looked into that. I'll probably have to call my local distributor and find that out. But you could use like a dry flowable bait in these to deliver a dry flowable bait. Now the challenge in this versus the Exacticide is right here in this trigger. The harder you pull the trigger, the more dust is going to come out naturally. If I'm going to be fair and balanced here, the one thing I like about the Exacticide duster, and I wish I had one here to be able to show you, is that on the back side there's a dial. And I like the dial system a little bit better. If they kind of thought this thing out and maybe put a dial on the back side of it where you could regulate the amount of dust to be more constant. If I goose the trigger too much, I over apply or under apply depending on what I'm doing. So that's the one thing is, if you've got one of these, get one of these triggers or mess with the trigger a little bit, get used to it. Do some practice runs with this thing, because I didn't think it would be as big a challenge for me, but it really was. You get a charger in the case, you get a couple of bottles, an extra battery, and that's all good stuff. But the really, really cool part is right down in this area. And the first thing I'm going to pull out is the telescoping end. First off, these are metal ends with TPU, and it comes in a little baggie. It's got TPU. Anybody that doesn't know what TPU is commonly used in 3D printing for printing such things that are flexible, like phone cases, things like that. But this thing right here, super cool. It telescopes out. It's super long for getting under and around cabinetry. I could see this being a really handy deal for a dry flowable bait in particular. You've got a short metal wand, and back to the wands being metal. I really like this. However, we do work in kitchens, guys, and we need to remember that metal does conduct electricity. The one bad thing I could see about using the metal end without the TPU cover on it, which I would always advise that you do use, and maybe give yourself a little bit of slack, because this thing does slide all the way. I kind of wish it was nubbed, and I might go to my 3D printer and maybe redesign this a little bit to where it's got a little catch in here to catch the metal end, so you've got just maybe a 1/4 inch of TPU sitting here, or some sort of hard plastic, so that you don't have an electrical shock hazard. You don't cross the streams and cross a positive and a negative wire in a 220 situation and really create a problem for yourself. Anybody that's been in a commercial kitchen knows that a lot of these steam tables are 220, and 220 hurts. It really does hurt. So you've got cleaning brushes that come with this thing, which I thought was a really nice touch. Unlike the X Acticide, and I am going to compare this mainly to the X Acticide, There's some definite things I like about this. Again, you've got a longer metal wand, and this is just a solid longer metal wand. Nothing fancy. This guy right here is awesome. It is a flexible end. It screws on. Everything with this is threaded. So you have threaded parts, seals. I have not got it to leak yet. Unlike the Exacticide, it took the Exacticide all of about 3 uses for it to leak everywhere. It's just not very well made, in my opinion. It's a great tool, but you really gotta wear your PPE, which you should at all times. But if you're taking it out for a demonstration and want to demonstrate it, and it's used piece of equipment, well, you pull it out of the case, you got dust everywhere, And right now, I'm not wearing PPE because I'm not really handling pesticides. It's contained in here, and I'm not really doing a main demo. That's why I'm doing it this way. But this flexible end, you can flex up underneath kitchen cabinets, things like that, and really get back in there and deliver dust. I will do another video of actually using this. Now, a con behind this for me, and this is just opinion, with it being a rounder style, with this being round here, I kind of am going to need to get creative and maybe either 3D print a mount that snaps on here or see if GoPro has something, because I'm a big GoPro user, because I would like to get some footage, some first-person view footage of getting under and around and using this flex line here and maybe the telescopic line to show people, exactly how this thing works. Another cool feature that this thing has, and I'm just going to kind of set it up here, is it has a light. It's bright. It's really bright, and I really like, having the light feature, because then I can one-hand it. I'm not holding a stream light in the other hand. I am not, I'm just not over-encumbering myself. So, I think it's a really thoughtful design. And at first, when I saw this thing, I was not a fan. I really wasn't a fan. I looked at it and I said, that thing kind of looks hokey, in comparison to the Exacticide. The Exacticide was what I was used to. So I've had this thing for a few months. I've seen it on Pest Cemetery. I've seen guys talking about it. And, essentially, I wanted a tool that was versatile, lightweight, that I could get under things. And, with the Exacticide duster, you're almost twice the size of this thing. You're square, you're bulky, you have plastic everywhere. And in my opinion, if I were to rate these on a scale to 1 to 10 at this point, I would give the Exacticide duster maybe a 6, and I would give this thing more of an 8, to be fair. I'm a fair and balanced person. I'm not going to give anything a 10. It needs to, everything has room for improvement, even this thing. Again, I think that one of the things that needs to happen here is the TPU, I think, is genius. Kudos, hats off to the person that created this. However, I do think that the design of this needs to compensate about another 1/4 inch just for safety's sake. Because if you're using this thing in an electrical outlet, you do have the chance of slipping. Anybody that's ever used a hand duster knows that you can slip every once in a while. We're human beings. We have all kinds of errors that we make. You slip with this metal here in a 220 situation, you've got an arcing problem. You may have even a shock hazard at that point, depending on what your circumstance is. If you're handling one of these bigger, like say this one, this is a longer deal, and maybe you're trying to stabilize it with this hand. Well, you cross a positive and negative wire, that's going to hurt, especially in a 220 situation. But love the brushes, love the system in general. I love the fact it comes with everything, and that you're not getting nickeled and dimed. And I kind of feel like some of the attachments that the Exacticide folks have created, not to take anything away from them guys, and I'm not ragging on them, dissing them whatsoever. I think they came out with a great product. I do believe that their product is way overpriced for the amount of things and quality that's in it. I think that those dusters go for somewhere around the 650 range, which in my opinion is ridiculous for that. I've had a couple of those dusters. I just don't think they're very well made. And again, that's not me knocking on them. That's just my honest opinion. Now, with that created Pesttool, I can't tell you what the longevity is. I've had this thing for about a week. I've used it so far. I love it. But a rating at this point, just at first glance, probably about an 8 versus a Exacticide at a 6. But fair being fair, I've had a lot more time with an Exacticide duster to really evaluate what its ins and outs are. So, thinking about buying it, it's about $350 at your local distributor. To me, it was a no-brainer because I can buy one Exacticide duster for $600, or I could buy 2 of these things, for $100 more. That means if I've got 5 techs out there, I'm not having to turn around and spend $3,000. So they got a duster. And most owners wouldn't put that into a technician's hands because of the expense itself. But I follow the philosophy of efficiency, of saving time. The more investment I can make in equipment and being able to make the job as efficient as possible. Yes, is it going to increase my expenses? Yes. But those expenses, with everything we're experiencing with labor and gas and all that these days, this is a drop in the bucket to me. It makes my job faster. I can pick up a stop or 2 a day based on the time that I save, especially since I do a lot of exterior residential, and I do a lot of dusting of siding channels. This makes it quick. This makes it easy. I'm not having to hand crank anything. So far I've not had any gum ups in it, no clumps. It's versatile. What more can I say? I bought 3 of these at a time. I got 3 more coming. I'm going to outfit every one of my techs with them. So I'm sold at this point based on the small amount of use that I've had versus the 2-3 years of using an Exacticide. I may come back to this video. I may give it a more fair rating, but at this point, at first glance, Exacticide 6, Pesttool, you're going to get an 8 at this point. To the Exacticide folks, I would advise that you guys really step up and lower your price point, because if this thing's better built than yours. I'm going to tell you that. Looking at it, it's hard plastic. It's not a cheap plastic. This kind of throws me a little bit. These are a little bit smaller, and I will tell you that if you're heavy on the trigger, you're going to go through some dust. So this trigger takes some getting used to. So that's my initial thought. Charlie Roberts with Roberts Pest Control. If you like the video, sorry it's so long-winded, but if you like the video, hit the like button. That goes to help support our channel. We don't make money off of this. We do this to be informative for our customers, to show them some of the new tools that we're going to be using and why, what they can expect, and just to be, an example and a model for our industry and be a resource for new guys that are up and coming startup companies that, may be thinking about investing in these things. May have a similar philosophy. Maybe you have an opposite philosophy. That's fine. I would love to hear it. Reach out to me anytime, 636-243-0900. My email is charlesroberts@robertspest.com, or visit us online at www.robertspest.com. Thanks for watching.